A moment of apparent stability gives a sense of peace to humanity. However, a warning, originating from what is described as SUS Marie, an A celestial alert, suggests this feeling of security is deceptive. The peace the world seems to enjoy is, in actuality, manipulated by unseen forces working to subdue humanity. The received message indicates an Antichrist is already active, preparing to dominate minds and souls, not just bodies. The message conveys that a spiritual poison is subtly affecting people. This poison enters through the senses, particularly through excessive use of technology, which has become a prominent part of daily life. Electronic distractions, consumption of content that contradicts faith, and substituting prayer with shallow entertainment are tools that separate people from a connection to the divine. By allowing these elements into their lives, individuals make their consciences vulnerable to manipulation. This is a deliberate process aimed at preparing humanity to readily accept the Antichrist's appearance. The message includes instructions for protection. It urges constant spiritual watchfulness, deep prayer, and a return to the Holy Rosary as a defense against harmful influences. Frequent participation in sacraments, especially the Eucharist and confession, strengthens the soul against attacks that seek to destroy faith. The message also advises replacing excessive use of electronic devices with moments of reflection, adoration, and contemplation. It recommends transforming homes into places of prayer, where the Sacred Heart and the heart of the individual are honored daily. Furthermore, through instructions given to a Colombian visionary, Saint Michael the Archangel advises that when the Antichrist publicly appears, all communication devices should be turned off. His voice and image will be used to seduce and spiritually dominate those unprepared. Therefore, these devices should be consecrated and protected with the invocation of the blood of the Lamb, as instructed by the messengers. The warning is clear. A spiritual battle is underway, and only those who are steadfast in prayer, rooted in faith, and strengthened by the sacraments will be able to resist. The message calls for urgent conversion, asking people to set aside anything that separates them from the divine. The struggle is real, but those who remain faithful will be rewarded with true peace and eternal life. Outside, the world appears normal. Streets are crowded, cities maintain their usual pace, and conversations center on typical concerns. People move quickly, but their focus is limited. They don't perceive what is happening beneath the surface. They are surrounded by an atmosphere of false tranquility, where the absence of open conflict and technological advancements create the impression that the world's problems are solved. However, this is a carefully constructed illusion. There is an apparent peace supported by empty promises and constant assurances that everything is under control. But if people were to listen carefully and look in the directions they avoid, they would realize that this peace has a hidden cost. What many perceive as stability is, in fact, a state of collective numbness, a subtle manipulation where the truth is obscured by carefully crafted images meant to calm, distract, and numb. While most remain in this false sense of security, a plan moves forward silently. It doesn't need to reveal itself yet. Deception is its primary tool. It's not a sudden, violent attack, but a gradual, almost imperceptible infiltration. There are no explosions, but there is increasing control over human thought and choices. This control is introduced gradually, disguised as freedom and progress. Those who believe they live in peaceful times don't realize they are being conditioned to accept the unacceptable, to surrender their conscience in the name of an order that claims to be protective, but is essentially oppressive. The lack of genuine peace is too comfortable to be questioned by those who don't want to leave their comfort zone, and that is precisely what makes it dangerous. There's a lack of resistance because few perceive a threat. Without a visible adversary, there's no defense, and by the time the error is recognized, it might be too late. Meanwhile, the world continues its usual course. Screens remain active, distractions persist, and vigilance is abandoned. It's in this negligence that darkness finds its way. There's a price for ignoring the truth, and when it's demanded, there will be only two choices: remain unaware and be consumed, or finally awaken to what has been present all along. Those who anticipate a grand event, a dramatic sign, or a world-shattering catastrophe are mistaken. The enemy, now among us, doesn't operate in such a manner. Silence has been his greatest asset, allowing him to advance, establish himself, and conquer territories that few consider defending: the mind, the heart, the soul. This isn't a distant threat, it's an ongoing operation. The enemy acts with precision and patience, while most believe they have ample time. He doesn't arrive with violence or brute force. His presence is nearly imperceptible, as he blends seamlessly into what appears harmless. He wears the mask of progress, freedom, and innovation, and while speaking of rights and well-being, he subtly spreads poisonous lies. There's no resistance because there's no perceived need for it. Without a commotion, there's no fear. Without fear, doors open. The enemy doesn't need to force entry. They are already unlocked, and he enters like a welcomed guest. This isn't a traditional invasion, it's a deeper, more subtle conquest. People gradually accept small concessions, minor shifts in thinking, and seemingly insignificant adaptations that, when accumulated, form patterns. They create a new logic, a new sense of right and wrong. The enemy understands this. He's in no hurry. He knows that to achieve complete dominance, he only needs to make people forget their former beliefs. And this is happening now. Voices that once spoke of faith, truth, and principles have been silenced or ridiculed. Consciences are numbed by a constant stream of entertainment, fragmented information, and stimuli that prevent reflection or inner silence. The enemy operates in the details, in habits, in unthinking choices. He doesn't mind being seen as harmless, in fact, he prefers it. While he strengthens his position, and when he finally reveals his full dominion, many will lack the strength to react. They will be trapped in networks they helped create. The enemy isn't coming, he has already arrived. He's already acting, and every moment of indifference brings his victory closer. The most dangerous threat isn't one that arrives suddenly with violence and immediate destruction. What truly condemns a people, a civilization, a soul, is the unseen poison that infiltrates. A silent, almost imperceptible substance that gradually alters, corrupts, and distorts everything, leaving no return when the damage is realized. The evil that destroys from within is always more effective than that which attacks from without. And this poison is being spread now, without fanfare, but with a clear objective: to prepare the ground for total domination. It's in the unnoticed words, the commonplace gestures, the previously unacceptable ideas now defended as progress. It's in the constant distraction, the inability to reflect, the mental fatigue that prevents seeing beyond the obvious. The poison has a sweet taste, disguised as modernity, security, and freedom, but nothing it offers is real. Its effect is corrosive, its impact definitive. The poisoning happens subtly, a small deviation of thought here, a concession there, a slight move away from faith, a surrender of values, replacing the eternal with the immediate. Everything seems natural, a simple adjustment to modern times. But behind this apparent adaptation lies a much larger plan. Each shift in perspective is a piece that fits into a scenario where absolute truth becomes relative and error disguises itself as virtue. Gradually, what was sacred becomes outdated, and what was condemnable becomes celebrated. Almost no one realizes they are being shaped, manipulated, programmed. The tools of this poisoning are many. Technology, which should be a means, has become an end. Devices meant to simplify life have stolen time. Screens that promise connection have only removed the silence necessary to hear the voice of truth, buried by a constant whirlwind of stimuli. And in this controlled chaos, few question, few realize, few awaken. The poison has already permeated society. Those who don't build resistance now may never recover. The most insidious threat isn't the one that dictates rules, but the one that makes people desire servitude unknowingly. The one who persuades without force, making submission appear as a choice. This is the daily poison, and the time for purification is dwindling. Nothing is random. A meticulously crafted strategy is unfolding. Each step is calculated to bring humanity to its current state. What many perceive as the natural evolution of the world is a trap, with each element pre-planned. At the center of this operation is the Antichrist, patiently awaiting his moment. His greatest triumph is convincing the world of his non-existence. While millions live in this illusion, he advances subtly, not with armies or open tyranny, but through silence. He operates behind information systems, political decisions, and global economic structures, manipulating culture and defining acceptable norms. The plan isn't violent destruction, it's the shaping of thought, the breaking of will, the theft of spiritual identity. It aims to make people accept absolute power without resistance. This power promises security, peace, and order, but at a steep price. Those unprepared to recognize the deception will succumb. Every new concept, policy, or seemingly natural change is a piece of this puzzle. What's easily accepted today was once unthinkable, and what seems distant will soon be commonplace. Inversion is the method, turning right into wrong, subverting purity and truth, trivializing the sacred. Under the guise of progress and tolerance, control is vast, and those who warn are labeled as fanatics. Despite this, a voice echoes, calling for vigilance. When he finally appears, many will hail him as a savior, marking the beginning of the end for those unaware of their true allegiance. Amidst indifference and confusion, a voice breaks the silence, not of condemnation or fear, but of an urgent call. The Virgin Mary, Mother of Mercy, doesn't remain silent in the face of danger. She approaches, touching the hearts of those still capable of listening. There are no shouts, no impositions, just a firm, deep, and direct appeal. Her call isn't based on theories, it's a clear revelation. The plan for total domination is underway, and few are prepared. Her warning is immediate. The spiritual poison is already circulating, corrupting hearts, diverting minds, and hardening souls. The Holy Mother doesn't denounce to instill terror. She warns for protection, not despair. She reveals truth for conversion, urging vigilance and constant prayer. She calls for return to the core of faith, a living faith, built on intimacy with the divine, not a superficial, obligatory one. A sincere commitment that rejects illusions and faces reality with courage. Mechanical prayer is insufficient. Heartfelt prayer is essential. Knowing the danger is not enough. Action is required to protect oneself, one's home, and one's soul. The Virgin emphasizes the urgency of time, the perceptible acceleration. The moment of decision is here, with no middle ground. Choices will be made now, in daily actions, silent renunciations, and sincere prayers, not in a future crisis. The call is to strengthen the spirit before the trials. She knows many will falter without faith, courage, and trust in God. She speaks as a loving mother, warning with compassion, not threats. She extends her hand, but the choice to grasp it is personal. The only way to resist the enemy's seduction is through true prayer, sacraments, and listening to the Word. With these, even the weakest will be strengthened. The time of mercy is still open, but not indefinitely. In a world of deception, protection is vital. The instructions are not mere suggestions, they are precise, practical, and urgent guidelines. Don't just believe you are protected, act. The time for waiting is over. Act firmly and decisively. First, protect your mind. There's no room for useless distractions or stray thoughts. The enemy's entry points are consciousness. Guard what you hear, see, and think. There's no neutrality now. What doesn't edify destroys. Filter every piece of information, every word. There's a subtle mental poisoning. Few realize they breathe it daily. Second, safeguard your home. It should be a refuge of light, but many homes are access points for harmful forces. Misused technology opens breaches for manipulation, distraction, and spiritual oppression. Cleanse your space. Remove everything that attracts evil, images, sounds, objects, habits that weaken faith. Where God is absent, the adversary finds room. Third, engage in constant, deep, dedicated prayer. The Holy Rosary is the primary weapon against manifesting forces. Pray it daily with true devotion. Fourth, seek the Eucharist with a purified heart, free from the weight of unconfessed sins. Regular confession is an invisible shield against approaching evil. Fifth, fasting and penance are not mere practices. They are shields to strengthen the spirit. Voluntary renunciation of comfort prepares for what is to come. A spirit lulled by laziness cannot resist the coming trials. Finally, consecrate yourselves to the Immaculate Heart of Mary and the Sacred Heart of Jesus. This is the ultimate fortress. Those who take refuge in these hearts will be preserved from the coming collapse. The instructions are clear, objective, and vital. Ignoring them means facing unpreparedness when the enemy fully reveals himself, an event drawing near. No one will be alone. A warrior, designated from the beginning, leads the celestial armies against chaos, Saint Michael the Archangel. He is a real and powerful being, already active, commanding a silent, decisive battle. Saint Michael doesn't console, he fights. He responds to the sincere calls of those who recognize the situation's gravity. His name, who is like God, is a battle cry, a reminder of the true sovereign. In a time of false gods, his mission is urgent. He defends the faithful, descending to the spiritual battlefield with his sword, ready to break the chains of darkness. Saint Michael intervenes only where there is faith. He doesn't act by force, but answers sincere prayer. Those who invoke him with confidence feel his immediate protection. He blocks evil's paths, dispels confusion, strengthens will, and protects against fear. His sword of light is divine justice. He faces the forces attacking humanity, but demands soldiers at his side. There's no neutrality, everyone must choose. Saint Michael leads those who remain firm. He gave specific instructions. Silence will be a weapon, disconnecting from deception a survival act. Saint Michael alerts. A time will come when disconnecting from communication devices is vital. This is not exaggeration, but war strategy. The enemy's voice will be heard through seemingly harmless means. Many will succumb, unable to discern when to close themselves off from the world and open themselves to God. The prayer to Saint Michael must be said daily, clearly, with authority and faith. He already fights for those who call upon him, but his fight will intensify. Those who haven't established a bond of obedience and trust will find little defense in the final battle. The time to seek protection is nearly over. Only those who have chosen their side will remain standing. Saint Michael is at the forefront of the final battle. The remaining time is short. This isn't based on distant omens, but on observable signs. The earth groans under the weight of disregard for divine laws. Nations are agitated in violent conflicts. Man, in his arrogance, believes he can control events. There's a point of no return, closer than most imagine. The great trial is a profound purification, a rupture with everything seemingly safe. It will shake not only the world's material structures, but also the souls of humanity. The deception will be so profound that even the righteous will grapple with doubt. Fear and despair will assail many, and those not firmly rooted in faith will be swept away. The approaching trials are not arbitrary punishments, but a final chance for decision. Humanity, having turned from truth, will now face the consequences of its rebellion. There will be no neutrality. A choice must be made between God and the impostor. The Antichrist will initially appear as a savior and peacemaker, enticing many with promises of peace and prosperity, which will lead them to surrender their freedom and souls. The time of great trial will be marked by resource scarcity, social instability, and open persecution. Prayer, fidelity to sacraments, constant vigilance, and renunciation of sin will be the only true protection. Those who remain faithful amidst chaos will witness God's power. There will be betrayals within families. Brothers will turn against brothers, parents against children, divided by truth and lies. The deception will be so intricate that even the chosen will feel confused. That's why spiritual preparation is crucial now. Those who delay may lose the strength needed later. The Virgin Mary has been persistent in her warnings, and Saint Michael has positioned himself at the head of the heavenly armies. Heaven is open to those who listen, but the time of mercy will soon close, giving way to justice. The great trial is inevitable, but victory is assured. Those who remain faithful to the end, despite pain and loss, will be led to Christ's victory. The battle will be arduous, leaving deep scars on humanity. There will be moments when everything seems lost, but the outcome is predetermined. Victory is not an empty promise. It's a decree sealed by Christ's cross and sustained by God's unchanging love. This victory is for all who remain firm to the end, the faithful children, who did not succumb to deception, who did not betray truth for false security. They will be recognized not for their merits, but for their resistance in the face of fear, rejection, and error. They remained anchored in faith, sustained by prayer, protected by the Virgin Mary's mantle, and by Saint Michael's strength. The triumph will be visible. Those who persevered will witness the fall of empires built on lies, the collapse of seemingly unshakable systems. The impostor will be exposed, and the ridiculed truth will be acknowledged. This victory will be lasting. After the battle, a new era will dawn, not a return to the past, but a purified land, where peace springs from communion among the faithful. Tears of pain will transform into joy, and suffering will be remembered as a fruitful sacrifice. The persecuted, humiliated, and forgotten will be honored. In this new era, God's presence will be palpable. Divided families will be restored, and hardened hearts will open to truth. There will be divine justice, and love will govern the people. This era of peace is reserved for those who endure the storm without betraying their faith. There will be no shortcuts. Those who wish to reign with Christ must first suffer with him. Each act of fidelity will be rewarded with incomparable glory. The triumph of the Immaculate Heart of Mary will mark the beginning of this new era. She will be recognized as the mother of redeemed humanity, and the world will know true peace, not built on human alliances, but from God, enduring forever. The time of battle approaches, and so does the certainty of victory. The only question remains: on which side will you stand?